I got nothing better to do, I've been making a list of the most notable events from the year 2006. Sounds boring, right? It is! I'm losing it! But this is what I got so far. But it feels like something's missing. Oh yeah, Tony Hawk's Downhill Jam came out. But what console do you use to play it again? The PlayStation 3. Bombed really hard because everyone bought a Wii. If you were like me when you were a kid, the only consoles you knew of back then were the Nintendo Wii that you owned and the Xbox 360 your friend's older brother kept in his room, and if you ever touched it, he'd sit on you. Sorry, memories kick in when I think about growing up. With the Wii. Growing up plus the Wii. Name a more iconic duo. The only thing that comes maybe close is tuberculosis and a smoking addiction, but come on, that just doesn't have the same ring to it. Growing up with the Wii was a special time. It was every 2000s kid's third parent that literally every household had. The question wasn't if you had a Wii or not, it was, are you allowed to play Brawl? If it was from the innovative and slightly gimmicky controls to the wacky Me channel, the Wii holds a lot of charm. It's insane the amount of memories this little box contains. Now, obviously I'm over-exaggerating. The Wii can't contain memories, it's not sentient. All I know is pain. Just gonna place that back down. But what made the Wii so beloved and special? I mean, look at it. It's just a plastic box with internet access, backwards compatibility with every GameCube game, groundbreaking motion controls, Mii's, and golf. Golf? Booting this baby up, it's evident what makes the Wii so special. Picture mode. But dude, the Wii's menu just screams personality. Personality! You didn't hear that. Console menus are one of those things that probably shouldn't matter that much to me, but dang it, the great ones are just a cherry on top. I mean, would you rather have a menu that's clean and interesting layout with multiple options, or a boring menu that passive-aggressively threatens you if you don't hop straight into a game? What else is there for me to do? In the 7th generation of consoles, the Xbox 360's menu felt like a bright and cheery welcome. The Wii had a channel layout that was creative and concise, and the PS3 reminded you that death is inevitable. And although the Xbox 360 is on the better end of the console menu spectrum, the Wii holds a certain charm that I don't think has been matched since. All on the same page. You have your games, customizable Mii's, and shoot the weather channel? Did you know it was gonna storm today? I'd never have known. What was also a new menu option was to create and customize a Mii. I remember the grueling nights of friends trying to make the most picture-perfect Mii's to ever exist. I did not have that much heart of a childhood. Now, I was personally more of a get-on-with-it kind of guy myself, but it's honestly so fun to just go in there and create the weirdest guy you can think of. But this wasn't just some side mode, these guys showed up when you play. You can either play as one, or sometimes they just pop up in the background. Overall, the Mii system was a great addition, and adds to the disgusting amount of charm that we already had. Still, what good is a console menu, even with the best feature ever, if it doesn't have some quality games at launch? Launch titles can make or break a console. However, the Wii had a little trick up its sleeve. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you, Cars the Game. Wii Sports is cool too. Get this, it's sports on the Wii! They've got all the popular sports here. Baseball, tennis, bowling, and boxing? Golf! Alright, maybe they don't sound like the most thrilling of sports, but oh boy did each and every game mode have their own unique twist on their respective sport. There's also golf. But there was always one sport where all the feuds were settled. Have a problem with someone? Settle it in the ring. Of bowling, or better known as damn it, damn it, damn it. Bowling was always a fun one to throw on when you had a few people over, but my goodness, if I didn't see this 30,000 times. Boxing was probably my personal favorite just for the sheer novelty of beating the crap out of each other. But boxing definitely shows off the most flaws when it comes to the motion controls, because it's not a simple swing forward or backward like the other games. Dude, it was because of my controller! Tennis was interesting, and baseball was always hit or miss with me. I'll go. But what I always found funny was how in the commercials for these games, everyone is up and giving it their all, when in reality, most of the sports can be played wherever you want. But overall, was Wii Sports an 11 out of 10 IGN masterpiece? Of course not, golf was in it. But considering it was just a free tech demo that came with the Wii, it did its job and it did its job well. But that's just the packaged in games. What about the other games, you might ask? Well, oh boy, did the Wii bring some classics. Mario Galaxy, 1, Metroid Prime Trilogy, Skyward Sword, and that's it. Now, obviously, I'm joking, but the Wii in particular is notorious for having some of the worst games on the market. But don't take that the wrong way. It's not that it didn't have great games, but that it had a whole lot of this. Since the console was so popular, every company and their hyperboles wanted in on that motion control action. And it sure was interesting. But that's the thing about growing up with the Wii. You didn't know most of these games sucked. Hard. See, as a kid, you have this naivety to you that makes everything just bright, amazing, and enjoyable. Except for M&M Kart Racing, there was no saving that game. But taking a solid look back on the games released on this bad boy, only about 10% of them are actually good. But that's not even an insult because there were 1,500 released! The vast majority of these games were such utter garbage that people coined them as shovelware. Quite literally the definition of quantity over quality. I think. I'm not a huge shovel guy. You'd be over at your friend's house, crack open that game drawer, and lo and behold, it's a whole lot of whatever this is and 2 copies of Wii Play. Oh my god, I love Wii Tanks! But even if the games weren't some AAA masterpieces, there was usually always some fun to be had. Usually. And besides the shovelware games, the Wii had some great titles. And also the ability to play any GameCube game free of charge is one of those perks Nintendo would probably strangle you for using today. But it wasn't just the games that made growing up the Wii amazing, it was also the way that they advertised themselves back then. This was Nintendo at their peak when it came to advertising. You could see the creativity that went into these things, while nowadays you're lucky if your game you're looking forward to gets a shadow drop on Twitter. These commercials are honestly a relic of the time. Maybe goofy now, but sure were effective back then. Probably because we were idiot kids. Man, I sure do hate school and authority figures. Hey kid! What the? Who is this? Check your pockets. What kind of sick game is this? That's not a game, silly. That's the controller. Clip it in, turn it sideways, and you're ready to play. Wait, I'm not doing this! You can now play all your favorite games from your favorite company, Nintendo. Who am I? Pick up your Nintendo Wii today. Help me! Now, as that commercial so expertly demonstrated, the Wii controller is sort of an oddball. We went from this to that, so it's understandable that some people would be confused, but it caught on surprisingly well. If you didn't know this, the Wii was kind of a hit. Although the controller looks kinda odd, just flip this baby and boom, normalcy. Oh my god, what is this? The Nunchuck is a weird name, but it's even weirder that it fits. Now I don't know what dark magic Nintendo conjured up to make this work, but this fits surprisingly well. Take the nunchuck out and I take it all back. If you're trying to play with just the Wii remote, may God spare you because the controller won't. The buttons work, but using the nunchuck is by far the preferred weapon of choice here. But the most important thing that was slammed down your throat by Nintendo was to wear protection. These things save lives. Every time you started up a game, you'd get a warning. You honestly couldn't go 10 seconds without seeing one of these things. As time went on, the Wii was replaced by the next generation of consoles. It was time to move on to bigger and better things. And as an avid believer in game preservation, I got rid of everything. Yeah, in the peak of my what in the world was wrong with me stage as a kid, I for some reason sold every Wii game I owned to fund whatever stuff I bought back then, like a DSi or jorts or something. And the console was sold shortly after. But if you're like me and want to revisit the golden era of gaming, you don't have a vast amount of options. You can either attempt to find a deal online or commit breaking and entering, and only one of those is actually viable. Now, as I said, going online is the best way to find games. And make sure that you search thoroughly. You don't want to waste your money on the first thing you see. Whoa, what a steal! But always try to find a reasonable middle ground. Negotiation is key. And boom, you have an unimaginable amount of debt. But most of all, a Wii. Kill me. I seriously gotta get that checked out. Boot this bad boy up and let all those childhood memories flow right over you. But did anyone actually wear these things? You know what? Since I'm not a kid anymore, I'm gonna take mine off.
I'm sure it can't be that bad. Whoops.
Don't worry, I have the protective case on it. Uh-oh. Huh, nothing happened. I guess they weren't lying about that case.